Now, before I begin this story, I do want to start with a bit of a disclaimer that this story is originally credited to Chief Bill Whippoorwill Thompson of the Lenape tribe, which is the First Nations tribe in North America, and it's most likely based off of a Cherokee origin myth. Now, the reason why I want to give this disclaimer is it's important that I, as a teller, recognize and respect the tradition of oral storytelling in First Nations people. And I just want to give a moment of respect to the first teller for sharing that story so that it would come to me, and now it comes to you. Whenever Spirit dreamed, she created. When she dreamed of something like dancing, she created the rivers and the lakes that would grow and flow, swell and shrink to the rhythm of her slumbering breath. Or when she dreamed of home, she created the forest with the canopy of leaves above that would shelter from the sun, no different than the curtains in your living room. And when she dreamed of family, she created the animals. And that was the beginning of all life on earth. But then one day, Spirit dreamed a very different dream, which caused gray clouds to form, and for a cold wind to come breezing through, and for tiny crystals to begin to fall. At first, it was beautiful. No one had ever seen something like that. But then it didn't stop. It began to pile on top of the trees, and it began to pile on the ground, and suddenly it became difficult for the animals to find food, and they grew concerned. Among these animals was Crow. But it wasn't any kind of crow that you guys could imagine. This crow had beautiful feathers of every color imaginable. And his voice was equally as beautiful. It could touch the hearts of even the toughest of animals. He went to his friends and he said, "We have to stop the snow." "We know," said his friends. Raccoon, rabbit, fox. "But what can we do? We're such tiny creatures." And this is true. So Crow knew he had to go get some help. So first, he went to the wolves, because they were cunning in the way they formed their wolf pack. And he asked them for help. But do you know what the wolves said? "Why would we help you? Thanks to the snow, our feet are now perfectly padded when we walk. And thanks to the snow, our fur now blends in perfectly with our surroundings. Thanks to the snow, we are even more perfect hunters than we were before. So no, we're not going to help you." And then they chased Crow away, snapping and biting at him, hoping to make him their next meal. But luckily, Crow did escape, and he made his way to the cave, where he knew Bear slept. Now Bear was the most mightiest of animals in the entire forest. Crow knew that she was going to be the one to help him. And Crow found her, lying on a pile of moss. "Please, help me get rid of the snow." Bear responds with a chuckle. "Poor little creature. Don't you know anything? That snow was given to us by Spirit, and Spirit lives way up in the sky. And I, as a bear, have no way to get there. Even then, I can't help you, because suddenly I feel so sleepy." Obviously, Crow is disappointed. He knows of only one last person that he can turn to. This is the creature that lives in the great tree in the center of the forest, the tallest tree. It's home to Eagle. Now, Crow has heard stories of Eagle before. He is a mighty bird a fantastic flyer. If anyone can help Crow stop the snow, it is Eagle. But guess what? Crow tries to get help. Eagle shakes his head. I cannot help you, little one, because I see within you a strength that has yet to be reached. It is a skill that not even I possess, and because of this, you have to go alone. Crow looks to the great sky and says, there's no way. I'm just a tiny bird. How could I ever reach there? Eagle looks to Crow and says, think of the ones that you're trying to help, and they will guide your wings. So Crow does what Eagle asks, and he flies up into the sky, but it's true. He's such a little bird. He gets hit first by these cold winds that threaten to tear him from the sky. And then there's the ice. It begins to form on his feathers, weighing down his wings. And he's pushing, and he's pushing, and he's pushing, but he's just not strong enough. And then he feels faint. He feels like he's going to fall. But that's the moment when he finally breaks through the clouds and is welcomed into the opening arms of Spirit. Little creature, why have you come to see me? I want to stop the snow. Spirit looks at the tiny bird and says, I cannot help you. I am only a creator. I cannot take things away. Crow hears this, his last lifeline, and he feels within himself a tremendous feeling of failure. So he says to Spirit, you have to do something. I've come all this way. Please help me. Spirit looks at the tiny bird. She sees how he's shivering, how his wings are frozen, how weak he has become. And she closes her eyes and she begins to dream. She begins to dream of courage. She begins to dream of the strength of the heart. She begins to dream of unity. She dreams of love. And for Crow, she makes fire. Crow is surprised when he feels the ice melting off of his wings, when he suddenly feels his strength being restored. Spirit says to him, tend to this and it will grow. But don't ever let it fade, and it shall always protect you. This shall be your duty. Crow thanks Spirit and puts the fire within his beak and begins to make the journey home. Only now, as he's descending, the fire in his beak, it begins to spark. And it begins to give flame to his feathers. And suddenly, he combusts. And as the forest animals look up, they see a streak of light falling from the sky. Where it lands, they see something that looks like Crow, but not really. Those colorful feathers are black now. And his beautiful voice that the animals once loved is this terrible screeching caw. The animals don't know what to think until Crow opens his mouth and shows the tiny ember still burning inside. Even as the fire burned him, he refused to let go. Take this ember and give it wood, and it shall burn for as long as we need it to, until the next wind comes and spring is returned. The animals do as Crow asks, and they build this fire, and they are rejoiced by the warmth that it gives them. And they're happy at the light it provides in the darkness surrounding them. But when Crow looks at himself, he can only feel sorrow. His beautiful wings are gone. That's when he notices something. but still within his feathers there is a shine, an iridescent glaze, something to always remind him of what he's lost, but more importantly, of what he gained, safety for his friends. Thank you.